While leads, but Carr is strong. He catches back up to him after having to fend off the 23. He's got a great run. He's going to look underneath. The 71 does not defend. They're going to go wheel to wheel into 3 and 4. Who is going to be able to get to the line first here? Down to the inside. He's going to get pinched. They're going to come together. They're going to come together. Is Tim Downey Jr. going to get this? He runs into him. Who is going to get to the finish first? It's Massey.
That is Deterk trying to go defensive. Wanmi says, all right, that's fine. I'm going to go to the outside. You see him taking the widest line into that corner possible, just keeping momentum up around the outside, not taking no for an answer, and by sheer force of will alone, that is Wanmi Costa up into the final podium position.
Off of turn 4, Valenteus looking for the launch. He gets it right up to the wall. He's got a good lot of speed. Is this enough speed, though? As they come to the line and getting ready to cross, he goes around the outside, but it's not enough. And it is going to be Togo Hisada taking the win. Vincent has got the bit between his teeth right now. He said enough of this back and forth and allowing him through. I want the spot back, and he's going to get to the inside. Down into Sayat. Can he complete the pass? Keeping up the momentum. Kevin Norris is going to remain wheel-to-wheel down into Vert, but it's not really a too wide turn. They're going to make it one this time, and Norris gets it back around the outside. So this is the 48 car here off of turn 4. Watch this. Really has to catch it. Just trying to, I bet he didn't lift that whole way. I think his foot was on the throttle the whole time.
Probably just a little bit too far back, trying to make that run up on Evan. Evan goes to cover the grass.
Espes blocked to the grass, side by side, 2 by 2 for the race win. Now nearly 3 wide. Hyde's taking a peek.
We've got a double here. They're going 2 wide and 2 wide. Oh, falling in. Oh no, we got contact. Cam Evan goes around. Oh, that's got to be rough. As
it's
we
not
have
over yet.
The local favorite going in, and Espes going for the lead, but Williams trying to get in there too. Where are we going to set up here? Coming into the final corner.
Williams trying to get the run on the left side, on the right side. Espes on the left side. A drag race. Williams takes the victory at Mount Panorama Circuit. Brandon Hawk in third, Espes in second.
The race at Indianapolis not only gave us a feel-good first-time winner, it had stunning drama from beginning to end. But now we go from one IndyCar staple to another here at Long Beach. Once again, just like the Brickyard, the walls are unforgiving. Let's see who can make it to the checkered flag as we get ready to watch Round 10 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sam Ryman. Behind the scenes, we have our director, Zach Johnson, who's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Long Beach did see F1 grace its streets for part of its history, but let's head to our track guide to learn a bit more about it. Welcome to Long Beach. Nestled into the south side of Los Angeles and running alongside the Pacific Ocean, this street circuit has made the port area world famous. Both Formula One and IndyCar have called this 2-mile, 11-turn circuit home. Winning here has become a prestige worth boasting about among open-wheel pilots. Indeed, the winners list includes the likes of Lauda, Andretti, Unser, Montoya, Power, and many other legendary names in racing. Much like its European sister over in Monaco, it's short, tight, and punishing. But unlike Monte Carlo, this circuit emerged from a rundown piece of California coast to grow into the glamorous location it is today. Down into Turn 1 at the end of Shoreline Drive is where the majority of overtakes tend to be made. But sneaky passes can also pop up in places like 6 on the way into Pine Avenue, or Turn 9 at the end of Seaside Way. There's also 2 distinctive landmarks notorious for causing track blockages. The fountain section, with all its beauty, is a single-file affair save for the first lap. And the hairpin has been a staple here, even though it's changed locations a few times. In fact, that last hairpin not only includes the dangers of getting tangled with another car, but the important nature of getting the best exit you can to keep your rival from having a chance to pass you into the first corner. It feels appropriate that California's signature street track is a hop, skip, and a jump away from the beach. But while others might be trying to attack the surf, our drivers today will be attacking the corners instead. Well, Sam, I'm glad you're not an A-list director because, honestly, I need a good pair of hands that can drive around here. What are the drivers going to be expecting in these Lotus 49s at this place?
Well, good to see you again, Joe. Hello again, everyone. I'm Zack Snyder, and this is Long Beach, one of the very few street circuits here on the iRacing service. And honestly, with the exception of that final hairpin, which can get a bit crowded during rolling starts, which of course we don't do here in the Lotus 49 cars, and the fountain, which is the second corner, typically it does tend to be one of the easier street circuits that there is out there. There's quite a wide racing track, and there are passing opportunities, especially down into Turn 1. However, it's also very easy to outbrake yourself going into Turn 1, and I'm sure we'll see someone hit the wall exiting that corner today. But that being said, it is still a street circuit. It does have the characteristics, the pitfalls of a street circuit, and definitely the dangers. And with a 30-car field here today, there could definitely be some incidents that may take out more than a couple of cars in the midfield.
No doubt about that. And also the championship looks kind of interesting now with Ove Trangrade gaining quite a bit on Topi Kortiniemi. It's down to 43 points, which is just under a win's worth, though, and it's coming down to the wire, so Ove's got to keep chipping away at that if he wants to try and beat the Finn. Hisada, with his win at Indianapolis, is getting ever closer. Let's see if he can keep that momentum going. But Bill Tyler and John Olsen continue to fall away, and it's looking less and less likely they'll be a factor once we get to round 12. What about the F2 championship here, Sam?
Well, let's take a look at how things have shaken up ever since the unpredictable race that was Indianapolis. We can see, though, they haven't shaken up too much. David Rossi still holding a nice, solid points lead, which he has been building out over the course of the middle of the season. However, there's a great battle for second. You see that, just 5 points separating Nolan Smith in second, Robin Brummer in third, and Jorge Nieva down in fourth, and Emmanuel Pereira hoping that he can get lucky in a couple of races and maybe fight for second as well.
As we look at the Nations Cup, it's kind of similar to what we saw there with the F1 Championship. Finland leading Norway. The United States and the United Kingdom have been swapping back and forth, but the U.S. has jumped ahead a bit after last round. From there, Togo Hisada has been basically the only one flying the Japanese flag and has at least brought them into the top 5, but he hasn't really had the manpower that we've seen out of some of the other countries so far. What can the drivers expect for today's race, though? Sam, what are the race details?
Well, here we go. This is round number 10 of 12, so we are getting quite close toward the end of a championship. Now 26 laps. That's actually going to feel like quite a lot around here. These races do normally go on for about 40 minutes, but of course the problem here is every single track is a danger zone, and you got to go around each of those danger zones 26 times. Open setup and no spare car. It is one of the higher end official racing series on the iRacing service, so they try and make it as realistic as possible. Obviously not good news for anyone who does happen to find the wall today.
Which might be a common occurrence, unfortunately. And we've got about 4 minutes left here in qualifying. Most of the drivers already on their second lap, though we're missing a number of them on the board. Should be a short enough one that they could get around if they haven't started yet. Topi Kortaniemi is coming around for his second one as he has the provisional pole. Hisada, about 4/10 behind him, should cross immediately after him. And it looks like Topi's down to a 16.9, Hisada 17.3. So both of them improve, but Togo cannot get ahead of him.
So Topi Kortaniemi and 1:16.9. I'm looking at a few drivers out here who have still yet to set a time, even though we're in the dying moments of qualifying now. David Presley finally got a lap in his number 10 car, goes 16th. We see Ove Trandre on screen currently just bumped his way up into second place. No, he's still in third.
And another name I haven't seen here in the Lotus 49s in a while is Samaz Kozdran, who's shown up. He gets himself into fourth. Looks like Will McDonald goes from 19th to 16th with that one. We're still waiting on a time from Robin Brummer, one of the hopefuls in the F2 Championship. The 17 car is just on his first flyer. This is Prela now here. And as he comes around onto Pine Avenue, he's going to hit the back stretch, one of those places it's easy to go just a little bit wide and hit the wall, but he gives it plenty of berth. So that 10 car, can he do better than 18th in these next few corners?
Well, we'll see. Like I say, he's got another lap here. But notice at the very bottom of a timing column on the left-hand side of your screen, the driver in 20th place, Xavier Sanchez, he is not on track. So the number 2 car going to have his work cut out for him. Not unusual, honestly. I think he's had a couple of poor qualifying performances earlier this season. Presley picks up a bunch of time there.
And that's up to 14th for Prela, and that will be a big boon to him. Looks like Brummer's first lap got deleted. Now, where could he have gotten off track around here without touching the wall? Unless he just glanced it. And that makes it a little tight. He'll have just enough time to get back around, but he'll be another one, just like you said with Sanchez. It'll have to try and pick and fight his way through many cars.
Yeah, it's not unheard of to hit the wall around here. There are some cars, I think, at this circuit where if you don't hit the wall, you're not pushing hard enough. Obviously, this Lotus 49 is not a recommended idea, not a recommended way to get around the circuit. But that being said, it can happen. You can, just brush the sidewalls of your tires on the wall and get away with it a couple of times. The problem, of course, in qualifying is that it won't count your lap.
So the DS driver down up to Firestone. Just a couple more turns to go through the parking lot here and now into the hairpin And these cars don't seem to like slow corners on this new tire recently. Been hearing from drivers that it is very tough around much of this course early in the stages of this race. Let's see if this one counted. Did he keep it clean across the line? It did. It's a 119.5. That'll be good enough for 19th place. A little bit higher up, but still not all that far up the order. And I think he's the last one able to set a time. Yes, indeed, as everybody else has taken both of their laps. So let's go through our starting order here today. Kortaniemi will be starting on the pole, trying to keep that points lead, but Togo Hisada, on his recent spate of form, is going to see if he can deny him, get back-to-back wins. It'll be Ove Trangerade starting from third, followed by Kozdraan, who will be P4. Bill Tyler is starting from fifth today, and John Olsen will be flanking him. Then it's Chris Murakami in seventh, Miko Michaela in P8, and Jana Lehman ninth. Laust Olsen rounds out your top 10.
All these numbers are based off of official iRatings, and look at the difference on row number 6. We have a number 4 lined up alongside the number 29, Michael Deterk and Colton Canova. Jairo Wikström will be starting from 13th ahead of David Paler. Apologies for the mispronunciation, but I was relating you to Elvis, so you can't blame me too much here. Mairo Hazaki starts back in 15th place ahead of David Rossi, and Nolan Smith and Will McDonald on row number 9. Robin Brumer and Michael Grissinger round out the top 20.
Xavier Sanchez out of place, we think, in 21st, with Randy Huff starting 22nd. Then it's Swindells in 23rd. Kenneth Carlson starts on the outside of that row with Steve O'Malley on the inside of the next one. Last one to set a time, Prinz, Nieva, Massa, Ponte, and Ho will round out your 30-car field here today. Let's hope that we can get through Toyota safely. That first corner is known for wrecks, even in real life, with professionals at the wheel. And these are very skilled drivers out here. Not everybody has the experience of trying to navigate that one safely. I think Laust Olsen and Gary Ho, the last two that we're waiting on, and then we'll be ready to go here in this early morning race with very cool temperatures on the track at 66 Fahrenheit, 19 Celsius for those out on the metric as the lights come up. And the green flag is out off the line. Hisada does not look good, and Trangerade is starting to come around the outside here as they come around the bend. He's got his nose ahead, and it's down into the first corner that this is going to have to be decided as they're still wheel to wheel into the left-hander. Nobody willing to give up. Oh, but a spin from Trangerade. He goes around, but he's off the racing line. Everybody else is streaming past. Hisada's going to retain second.
Oh, that's horrible for Trangerade, because like I say, most of the rest of the field has gotten a relatively clean start, so he's going to have to work his way through 20-something cars to get a decent finish. We do have another spin in the fountain. Tranterade's going to have to work his way around him. Oh, we got one spin going on the back straight.
I think Will McDonald has turned himself around. That was Swindells, who was facing the wrong way in the fountain section. But, and Conover is now around, coming onto Pine Avenue.
And that's with Robin Brummer. Robin Brummer and Conover have had an incident there.
And Brummer looks like his car was crabbing in that shot as we come back to Kortaniemi, who leads the way by about a second over Hisada. That little squabble at the start certainly cost him a little bit of time. And around the hairpin on to the front stretch. Your podium order is Kortaniemi, Hisada, and Kozdraan.
Yeah, so most of the cars in the middle of the field, I think, have been able to gain about 3 or 4 positions out of this from several leaders spinning. Paler was dropping down the order a bit there, so bad news for him early on as lap 1 of 26 is now in the books.
Yep, so David finds himself at the very back. Trangerade on his recovery drive up to 27th. That's 2 spots here very quickly. We look at the number 5 now, Togo Hisada, trying to see if he can keep up with Kortaniemi, but it's already up to about 1.3 seconds. I got to think that this is a track that the driver will make a huge difference at here today, Sam.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. I was just watching Will McDonald. His car was badly beaten, but as he came around the kink on the front straight, he basically drifted it all across the start-finish line. That was something entertaining to watch.
Down along Seaside Way once again and into Firestone. Hisada still trying to keep from losing too much time. We've got Steve O'Malley with a problem. This has seen quite a few spins here at the start. I wonder if that's down to these cool temperatures and the tires just not getting quite into working order.
Yeah, Kenneth Carlson has just overshot the end of a back straight, and he's fortunately found one of those few places where you can make a mistake and not hit anything and gets back going again.
He's probably grateful for those escape roads for sure. And wow, this is certainly going to be a bit of a race of attrition if this is anything to go by, if not at least keeping it pointed forward. I think we've got an opportunity to take a look at the replay on Traingrade, who's up to 24th right now. And I think, from what I could tell, this is just a straightforward spin. It didn't look like he made contact. And, of course, Traingrade in the 9 car that we're looking for. There he is off to the side of the screen. Down into... Oh, he took a lot of curb. Wonder if that upset the car. Well, regardless, at least he was out of the way, so thankfully no incidents there. And I think we're watching Swindells here. Didn't see at all what happened to him. I don't know if you saw, Sam.
Oh, well, here we go into the fountain. This was a turn I was actually a little bit more concerned about. He gets rear-ended. There was just a lot of checking up going on. I think that car should still be handling okay.
Yeah, and I think we're trying to spool up at least one more. Is this the number 10? Yes, it is indeed. Broomer, F2 championship implications. He also gets a little bit of a tip. That sends both of them around. Oh, that was the slightest little bit of contact. Oh, but it wrecked the suspension, and he is indeed crabbing poorly. Wow. Not the way he wanted to start this one.
Well, we're back to live action, and while we were watching one of those replays, one of the biggest developments that happened was Miko Michaela, who had been running up in the top 10, had a massive incident. His car actually ended up flipping over. Fortunately, it was only a single car incident that's obviously dropped him out of the race.
Back to Hisada. It's up to 2.1 seconds between himself and Courtniemi now. That is Kozdrawn behind him that you see in the yellow and green. Keeping a watching eye on that number 5. He's a little bit closer to Togo than Togo is to Topi. And I've been seeing cars spun many times. We just don't have time to report them all. Looks like Randy Huff might have been the latest, and he actually took a toe. So he must have hit something solid as we watch Kozdrawn come down to the first corner once again.
Yeah, fortunately not a whole lot of retirements. I mean, you can tell on the left-hand side of your screen which cars are off of a lead lap are probably the ones out of a race, or at least definitely not in contention anymore. But that being said, a lot of spins we've seen or minor contacts we've had, the cars have gotten going again. And that, of course, means these are all opportunities for Traingrade to work his way up the order. And I think he's in the top 20 now, and this might be another position for him.
This is Lehman, and I was just about to say he was, I think, 12 positions up at one point, but looks like he had an issue down in the fountain section, has to take a tow. In the meantime, the 4 of Deterk is one of your best movers, up 10 spots since the beginning of this race. Actually, no, excuse me, 4 positions I'm seeing. And he is right now chasing Chris Murakami. Murakami not too fast down Seaside Way, and even though there's a little bit of a look from Deterk, he's not able to pass. Michael joining us from the Lotus 79, so glad to see him dipping his toes into even older machinery.
Yeah, I think when it comes to a track like this, I mean, I'm sure this car isn't easy to drive around here, but it must, you know, the track is challenging enough in itself. It's probably not so much of a shock getting in the Lotus 49 around it. It's like, you know, you're going to be up against it anyway. Riding on board Michael Deterk here. Obviously no DRS or anything he can use on these old cars to try and pull up and make a move for 6th place. Probably his best opportunity is waiting for a mistake out of Chris Murakami, but Chris has a pretty high I rating, so it might be difficult to see a mistake out of Murakami. Here's another good passing opportunity into this left-hander down here. There's always some country music playing out of a PA speaker on the left. And I was about to see if... oh, here we go. Murakami goes wide, and the country musician sends Deterk up into 6th place.
He's through, and next on his list is going to be John Olsen, about 2.5 seconds up the road. Behind them, Laust Olsen up 2 from his starting position. He could maybe try and take advantage of this if he feels like he could bring it to Murakami. He's certainly been gaining as those two were fighting briefly. There you see the 12 heading into the hairpin. Critical corner for a passing opportunity into the first turn. It looks decent from the yellow and blue machine. Whoa, a little bit of a squiggle there from the 8 though.
I only see one of our cars. I know I was saying that there were plenty of opportunities a moment ago, but I only see one car, David Prayler, off of a lead lap, who's actually still out there on circuit. It does look like a few cars have decided to call it a day. Obviously, lap traffic normally does become a factor in these races because the fields are large enough and there's plenty of cars out here, and I'm sure that will become a talking point later on in the race, but so far the 24 lead lap cars are quite well spread out around the circuit.
We're watching Frasky being chased by Rossi, our F2 points leader there, but look at that yellow car in the background. That is the 2 of Sanchez. Remember, he qualified in 21st. He is up to 10 position gain here today. And along the back stretch, he's got a little more to go before he gets involved in this two-way fight. But based on how many cars he's overtaken so far, I wouldn't be surprised if he joins the fun.
Yeah, it's too early in the race for me to start arguing about colours, but I'm going to... Oh, no, wait, yeah, it is yellow. It's a yellow camel paint. Okay, I was going to go with gold, but... Okay.
Gold works.
Yeah.
Semantics. Anyways, as we come down the main straight, Rossi falls off of the back of Frasky just a bit. And though the slipstream does bring him in slightly, they swing back across to the right side, hit the binders, and he's not close enough. Boy, he's good down through the first corner, though. He gains a lot of time mid-corner.
Well, things have thinned out a little bit here. Obviously, we've got a nice little battle going on screen, but still want to keep an eye on the progress of Ove Trandre. And now that we're getting to the part of a race where we might see less incidents, you know, because things have calmed down, Ove's going to have to do more passes the hard way now. Remember, he would have dropped to 30th or so when he had that incident at the start of a race, and he's been able to work his way up to 16th. But granted, a lot of those positions have probably either been given to him or he's just taken them as a result of crashes and stuff. It's going to get more difficult as he works his way into the second half of a race, and that's not what he wants to see, an open racetrack in front of him. He wants to see cars in front of him because cars are positions.
And Murakami just had to fight off Olsen multiple corners side by side. Let's get a replay of the 12 and the 8 here. This was off the backstretch. You can see Olsen is now fallen back. Don't think he'll have anything into the braking of turn 1, and indeed, no, he'll stay behind him. But this goes to show that you can go side by side here. You can fight hard, even in these cars. Ooh, and I think we might be a little far back, or not far back enough. We're looking for from... Here we go. Yeah, and actually started even on the backstretch, it almost looked like there. Continuing on through the parking lot and down into the hairpin, and eventually Laust has to give way.
And that's a yellow car.
It is, with blue. Now, next time we'll be doing shapes and numbers, but in the meantime, it is still Cortiniemi who leads. It's by about 3.5 seconds over Hisada at this stage. The number 1 showing that representing his pace well. That number 1 around the Shoreline Drive bend up into the first corner, hitting the binders. And one thing I'm sure that they're glad of in these cars is that they are very compliant, at least. You can see the nose dip there, Sam. This is a bumpy track like a lot of street circuits, but I guess here you feel a little bit less.
Yeah, the other thing, though, that you do have to be a bit careful of is with all the curbs and everything around it, it's not unusual to damage these nose cones of these cars when the track throws its fair share of obstacles at you. And I'm seeing a lot of cars out there with damaged noses. 14th, 15th, and 16th is about to get interesting. Colton Canova, despite having a number 29 on his car, started 12th and is still in 14th, but he's been losing a lot of time to Robin Brumer, the F2 Championship hopeful, in 15th behind him. And then Ove Trandre has finally caught some cars down, so he's got to find a way by these two.
And looks like we had at least one driver spinning again. I think that was McDonald. Also, Rossi lost a spot to Sanchez, so Xavier up to 10th position now. Oh, and there was somebody's...
The Trandre!
Oh, no. He was getting up to Brumer, and it looks like he was pushing a little bit too hard. That red mist probably has been firmly over his eyes all race long.
But the battle for 13th continues with Canova and Brumer, which is what we see on screen here, as we're approaching a halfway point, much faster than I thought we would.
Yeah, Colton coming around that slow hairpin. It's a good exit for Brumer. Is this going to be enough to get him the slipstream? They already pick up speed to about 150 miles an hour around the long sweeping bend, 160. He is reeling him in. He's looking to the inside, but well, I thought he decided against it. Then another little late move under braking. A slide from the car of Conover is going to let him through. So Brumer up to 14th.
And while all that was going on, we lost Kenneth Carlson, who had been running in 19th place.
Now that pass has happened, I think we got a replay on the...
Sorry, Rob Swindell's also just towed to the pits.
Ooh. Try and figure out what happened there. I believe we've got Trangare's replay spooled up here. Here it is. Is this all by himself? I would assume so. And yes, indeed. Just a little too hot into the corner. Let's see what happened to the 20.
Well, we said it would happen at some point. It's lucky that wasn't a two-car incident.
And then we've got Sanchez as well. He's lost a position, so he must have... Well, he looped it all the way around.
360, yeah, do it. Oh, that doesn't even count as a spin because he went back the way he came.
Well, it's a half spin. Meanwhile, as we come back live, you can see the two-car... They're heading through the fountain section now, is down to 11th. Wow, Trangrade reacted quickly. He is back up past Conover already. Just overtook him there into the first corner just now. So that's 15th for the 9 car. And if you're looking at his stats and seeing, well, he started from 3rd. This is not a good race. This is mighty impressive because he literally fell to the last spot after the first corner, so he is now past about half the field.
Yeah, I think he has gotten a few of those the easy way. Again, it'll be interesting to see how the second half of a race fares for him.
Well, there's another. And that was Brumer going wide out of Pine Avenue, just using the escape road up the hill, and then he's back onto the back stretch once again. Unfortunately, that sends him down to 17th.
Yeah, and while we're talking about Brumer and the F2 Championship, our F2 Championship leader has quietly worked his way up into 10th place, David Rossi.
Hasn't been a perfect race for him either, though. But I'm not sure how many drivers we will see a completely perfect race from. Just how difficult it's showing itself to be. Oh, and Grissinger and Nieva going side by side into the first corner. And it looks like Jorge is going to come away with that one.
Jorge's another one of those up there in the F2 points, isn't he? So that position will help him out a little bit there.
I believe he came in 5th into this race. And there we see the 9 car of Ove Trangrade. Grissinger is actually next up for him. He is really picking him off. Yeah, fastest lap for Trangrade is a 18.1. And he actually, did he just do that? Yeah, he did that this last lap.
Want to keep half an eye on this. I'm also keeping half an eye on the battle for 5th right now. John Olsen being closely pursued by Michael Deterk. And then nose to tail for 5th and 6th place. They're not at a part of the circuit right now where a pass can really be made, but well, these guys are. So let's see what Trandre does down the front straight.
Oh, he's great off the hairpin, and a little bit slow from Grissinger. Not sure if he missed a shift or what, but suddenly Trandre was right on top of him. Almost looked like he had to check up, and letting him by. Grissinger knows this is not his fight. He sees that number 9 on the car and lets him through. So Trandre the 13th. The top 10 definitely looks doable. The question is, how high can he go?
Yes, I think we need to go back to the battle for 5th because Deterk is sticking his nose out at the end of a back straight. I don't think he was ever going to attempt to pass there, but he's definitely trying to get into Olsen's head.
All right, let's see what kind of run he can get out of the hairpin as they set themselves up, differing lines between them and accelerating away. Deterk looks decent. A little bit of wheel spin in the second phase of things, and John Olsen pulls himself almost half a second away, unfortunately. Not sure that he's going to be able to get this done down into Toyota. Yeah, just way too far back between the pair of them. Up in front of them, Bill Tyler's only about 2 seconds up the road. So depending on their pace, and especially depending on if Deterk is actually quicker than Olsen, he could maybe try and go chase down 4th too.
Yeah, I think something else we really need to keep an eye on in the upcoming laps is a battle for 2nd. It looks like Thomas Kostrom is running down. Oh, here we go. This is for 5th.
Oh, side by side onto Pine Avenue. Deterk's going to be on the outside here, but Olsen will be pinched, and it looks like he is going to have it.
Yeah, Olsen kind of gave up there, I think. He saw the writing on the wall, but still 12 laps to go. We'll see if anything changes there. But now that that's done, let's jump up to 2nd, because Kostrom can definitely see his Sada. Might be a couple more laps until a pass is attempted, but this is definitely going to be a battle worth keeping an eye on in the closing 11 laps.
Ooh, and Kostrom is really on it. He set his personal best this last time by as well, and it was 4 tenths faster than his Sada. So Togo slipping up a little bit here potentially, or is Tamaz turning the pressure on? With these 11 laps left, there are still opportunities to be grabbed. Up and around the 5th corner and back onto Shoreline Drive, heading the opposite way under the bridge. Braking hard, noses dipping down towards the concrete as they try and find the best they can out of these cars that slip and slide all over the place.
There's a lot of lap cars out there all of a sudden who have gotten their repairs done from early in the race and are trying to pick off positions, and it's creating a few hairy moments out there.
Yeah, we just saw them go by one on the backstretch. That was an easier opportunity to go through. That was Eugenio Massa, although he wasn't one of the ones that took repairs. I think he's just been out there and hasn't been able to keep pace with some of these leaders. In fact, we're down to 18 cars left on the lead lap, with Will McDonald being the last of them. Topi Kortaniemi getting another fastest lap to his name in the meantime. That time by Kostrom is 17.8, so 3 tenths slower than his personal best last time. Hisada 17.8. They matched one another, staying at about 7 tenths of a second apart. There you can see the comparisons. And yeah, for a little while there, Kostrom was really just pulling him in, although that 4 tenths handed back matched the 4 tenths from lap 12. Even still, it's looking like the overall trend is that Tamaz is gaining. But it's one thing to catch, Sam. It's a whole nother to try and pass.
Yeah, we've got about 5 different little battles like this going on around the circuit right now, where there are 2 cars separated by about a second. Doesn't look like anyone's really being pressured right now, though, but there's only 10 laps left to go, and they are going by in a hurry. The lap time's just over a minute to get around here in these cars, so I think we will start to see a sense of urgency in a couple of those battles in the closing moments here, as we're down to 9 laps to go now.
You know, something we haven't touched on as we were talking about Cortinemi leading the championship and whatnot. Hisada could actually get himself into second this race, I think, depending on how far up Trangarade climbs. Ove's up to 12th currently, but I think there's about 30 points or some between those two coming into this race. So Togo still sat in second place, is set for a good points haul. I think that's 45 that'll get to his name.
And I don't think Ove is going to pass many, if any, cars on raw pace now. He's 7 seconds behind Xavier Sanchez, who's no slouch. Now, I don't suppose for a moment that Ove is going to finish 12th. I think we will see another incident or two in these closing laps. But yeah, it does mean that Ove is not going to walk out of here with a finish that he'll be too thrilled about.
Man, that first corner could be championship deciding in the end as we hop on board, looking back from Togo Hisada with cause drawn now within about 0.3 of a second. He has continued to get closer and closer, and in fact I think he's going to feel the slipstream this time. Will this be enough? A long shoreline drive? No, it's not going to be enough. It wasn't pulling him in as quickly as I thought it would. So he'll remain 3 to 4 tenths back down through the fountain section now. And they're a full 7 seconds behind Topi Cortinemi, who we haven't shown a whole lot of, well, just because there's not just been much going on with him.
And about 10 seconds behind this, we have another one of those two-car tandems I was talking about between Bill Tyler and Michael Deterk. So that's another one to watch in the closing 8 laps. Boy, it seems like clicking off each minute.
Absolutely.
Probably because they are.
The little crest there, and Deterk. I am mighty impressed with the way that he has jumped into this car and shown himself to be pretty handy. And did something happen to Sanchez? Because Trangarade is suddenly much quicker. I'm looking at the lap times. Yeah, 1:24. Sanchez must have had a spin somewhere over the last lap. Oh, and it was coming out of the hairpin. Didn't we see him do that once before already this race?
I don't recall, but it's unfortunately he's been able to keep a position. But like you say, it means that Ove might be able to pick up one more position on pace.
Now let's take a look at that. I'm pretty sure this that we saw him do this once before. So far in round 10, here it is. Looks like the curb may have had a part in that, unfortunately. And it's a good thing that he didn't have somebody all that close, because he had time to try and do the little spin turn and get it rolling. But Trangarade has caught up to him because of that, and he also lost touch with Rossi. If Sanchez hadn't have done that, Rossi was right behind Vraski, and he could have had a 2-for-1. And just look at how much those cars slide off that corner and then have to immediately get off to the right-hand side of the track.
Six laps left to go in the moment here as Topi Cortinemi is coming across the start-finish line right now. Oh, that was a bit of a tank slapper there. That's the number 9 car.
That's Trangarade.
Trangarade.
Hopefully he didn't damage the suspension with that. I think he may have gotten away with it. It looks okay. Doesn't seem like it's crabbing. And it's turning as well, so crossing fingers that he'll be able to keep the pace up, but that does lose him time to Sanchez. It's now back up to about 2 seconds. He is really pushing. Look how tight he takes it to the wall on every exit.
So just in the top 10 with 6 laps left to go, we've got 2nd and 3rd nose to tail, 4th and 5th nose to tail, 7th and 8th nose to tail, and 9th and 10th nose to tail. So still a lot to be decided.
And like you said earlier, it's so easy to make mistakes around here. So,
and this battle's about to get held up by the lap car. Steve O'Malley, he gets out their way.
Whew, yeah, 26 just finding a spot there between 4 and 5 to manage to get himself clear. So Laust Olsen on Murakami looking for the 7th position. In fact, I don't think, do they have anyone else near them? No, they do not. They're just all kind of on their lonesome. The two cars behind that you see flash at times are lapped vehicles, and this is a great exit coming on a Seaside Way. Olsen knows it, and even though he thinks about it, he comes back to the racing line. Oh, and Rossi just got past Hraski there, I think. Thought I saw a flash of, yeah, Hraski outbraked himself onto Seaside Way.
Well, that's one position being swapped around then. There's a three-way battle going on for 15th, 16th and 17th right now. Colton Canova, Nolan Smith and Will McDonald. Number 30 on Nolan Smith. I'm convinced that sometime during the week, Nolan Smith just enters races and pulls out of it to keep his I rating low, because I do not still understand how he still has the number 30 on his car.
I'm not sure either. And I mean, you could make the same argument for Colton Canova. He's up to 15th in the number 29 machine, and he actually qualified in 12th, so he could have been even higher than this if it weren't for perhaps some mistakes or problems that he may have encountered at some point in this race. I have a feeling that we should see those numbers continue to rise. Everybody.
Sorry, Drew, that fourth car is also in this battle. I just realized that. That's Robin Broom at the tail there.
Ah. Well, he's going to want to try and get as many as he can in hopes that he can keep the points lead in that F2 championship.
Oh, Costron, upside down on the front straight from third place. He's wrecked it on the front straight, all on his own.
He comes to a halt on the racing line, but thankfully nobody is coming up to him. I think he clipped the inside wall of all things. If we get a replay on the 7, and unfortunately these are momentum cars, and that means when they start going one direction, they're hard to change that direction. And of course, once you're headed towards the wall, good luck.
Yeah, there's a bit of oversteer there. I don't know, was that complacency maybe? Oh, well, no, it couldn't be, because it would have been him trying to drive a bit harder, maybe, to try and get second place. By the way, Canova had a bit of a moment. He's still in the race, but he lost a couple positions while we were watching that replay.
In fact, that gave Broomer a spot. Now, Cosdron, having his issues, gives him another spot as the 4 looks to the inside, but then thinks twice. He is chasing Bill Tyler. This is now for a podium position. Tyler promoted up into third. Deterk just on the outside looking in with 3 laps to go. And so if he's going to do it, he's going to have to do it quite quickly. Looks like he starts to lose touch a little bit as the wheels spin up on the exit of the hairpin. Both of them trying to stay safe through the corner as we come back to the backstretch, where we got a battle now between these two.
Yep, that was a great exit off of a previous turn by Ove Trantere, and with just 3 laps left to go for this duo as they come across the line. 10th place is still not what Ove wants, but 10th always feels a lot better than 11th, that's for sure.
Well, 2 very fast drivers, unfortunately just trying to get themselves the tail end of the top 10. Not what they were hoping for today. Out and past the front stretch into the first corner. They're coming up on a lapped car, and I think that is Prela up in front of them in the number 10. Let's see if this causes any sort of issues, or is he going to find a way to pull off? He looks quite off pace.
Yeah, 2 lap cars actually. That's Prince ahead of Prela. Who prevents him? Prince got out of the gas, and Prela was kind of following him to keep out the way of leaders, and they just came together.
Miscommunication. Yeah, he doesn't always know which car is the lapping car, and so unfortunately that all wound up with a bit of a crumpled heap of sheet metal. Meanwhile, whoa. And Trey Parade, you think he's going 10/10 here? My goodness.
I don't think Trantre knows any other way. I recall, I think it was him who won the race at Talladega once in these cars when he was like 8th going into the D Oval, so he doesn't give up.
Yeah, there is no give up in his vocabulary at all. and he loves to sling these things sideways. Is very good at that. Those two down into the first corner as well. Deterk is getting very close to the back of Tyler. In fact, I think there's a good chance. Oh, no, just as we come to it, his tires spin up and he falls away. He was almost within touching distance of the 6.
Well, they're coming around to start the final lap here. There we go, final lap. Colton has just crossed the line. Yeah, Colton has been dominating this race while we've been watching all the fun stuff. And so that means very few passing opportunities left for Deterk now.
Really going to have to be on it. And that car doesn't look happy trying to get on the throttle. Obviously, they don't have aerodynamics they can mess with, but the differential is talked about by the drivers a lot, Sam. I wonder if it just isn't really set up to be as good accelerating away.
Yeah, well, they can play with anything in these open setup cars. There's a very real possibility of something like that being the case. So this battle's still going on. The battle for 10th still going on. No battle for the lead, though. Toby Courtenay's working his way down the back straight now and is within sight of a checkered flag.
Topi Courtenay, I need to check and see how many wins this is for him so far. In fact, shockingly, this is only going to be his 3rd win of the season. But it's an important one because he pulls away, I think, back to a full race win ahead of anybody else. Topi Courtenay weaves back and forth in celebration here at Long Beach with the victory.
And 3rd place is still up for grabs. They're coming into the hairpin now. Deterk would really have to throw in something desperate down the inside here, or maybe try and shape him up on the outside. He might try and give him the old bump and run, but it's not going to work. Bill Tyler's going to get 3rd.
Yeah, they don't race like that in this series, I don't think so. Great job by Bill Tyler on that one. John
10th. Here we go.
Yes, indeed. And they're coming down the backstretch with Sanchez trying to weave to the inside to fend off Trangarade. He takes the middle of the track. Could this offer it over under potentially from Ove? No, he's not quite close enough. Or maybe he does. The second phase, he somehow finds overlap. Does he dare chuck it in? No, not into the hairpin. It'll be a bit of a drag race off the corner. And it looks like Sanchez had just enough grip to get that top 10.
I think you could get away with a bump and run.
Battle for 13th is not over as well. Grissinger, Smith, Conover back here. I think it's going to be Grissinger. Oh, and the 29 of Conover caps it off with another little spin.
Yeah, Trancho did too. David Prayler, he got his car to the end. I think there's a couple of people who might not be too happy with him out there, but kudos to him for getting that car to the finish, missing the whole front clip.
Well, that's going to take us to a quick break here. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Long Beach Round 10, and the Grand Prix Legend Series went to Topi Courtenay, and shockingly only his 3rd win of the season. He's just been on the podium so many times, I lost track of which ones he actually was topping. Meanwhile, Togo Hisada, a quiet 2nd place. It's kind of been his MO for much of the season after he took that win at Indianapolis. He wasn't able to follow it up, but it's valuable points over Ove Trangrade, who we'll get to later on. Bill Tyler rounding out the podium. How about Michael Deterk? 11th to 4th for a 7-position gain in today's race over John Olsen, who rounds out your top 5. You got Chris Murakami, who certainly had his own fights all race long, for 6th. Whilst Olsen was usually the one behind him, finished P7. It's David Rossi in 8th, our leader in the F2 points, as Miro Haraski finished 9th, and Sanchez from 21st with his poor qualifying up to 10th today, Sam.
And here we see Ove Trandre at the top of a timing sheets. Unfortunately, it's page number 2 in 11th place finish. Won't be too thrilled about that. Ahead of Jorge Nieva, who came into this race second in the F2 standings. A decent finish there. Michael Grissinger finishes 13th place ahead of Nolan Smith and Colton Canova, who somehow get great finishes, but will still probably come into the next race with a very high number on their car. Robin Boomer was the first car 1 lap down, losing out to David Rossi in the F2 Championship, who finished 8th though. Will McDonald had a 17th place finish. Eugenio Massa finishes 18th ahead of Steve O'Malley, the last car 1 lap down. And then we get to Thomas Cosdron, who was just a few laps away from a podium finish.
And then on our third slide, unfortunately, the only one to see the checkered flag amongst these cars is David Prela there in 22nd. Everybody else was a DNF. We kind of expected it to be a bit attrition heavy with this car track combination. One driver that did not suffer from that was Michael Deterk, and he finished 4th today. He is here to talk to us about how his race went. But I guess my first question for him is, Michael, we've seen you here in the Lotus 79. How does that compare to this car?
Man, 79 feels easy compared to this.
We're glad to see you over regardless. And I say you're not doing too shabby out there. A 4th place, especially from 11th in qualifying. And you had a nice fight with Tyler. Just unfortunately, not enough pace, it seems, to get in on the podium.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know, it's great jumping into another series and feeling like you don't have the expectations of your standard series as I feel like I do at 79. You know, there's a little more intense pressure to do well in that group when you've been running it for over a year. But yeah, just didn't quite have the pace with Bill. That last hairpin killed me every time. It felt like I was wheel spinning the whole way down the straight. So
I heard from other drivers that the wheel spin coming out of the slow corners is pretty tricky. It explains why we saw so many cars spinning off in this race. Next round is going to be at Phillip Island. Will we see you back when we head to Australia?
Honestly, I have no idea what the next week is going to hold for me. I may not even be doing 79 next week, but we'll see.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for you. Congratulations. Anybody you want to give a shout out to for today?
Actually, I want to say the iRacing staff did such a nice job updating this car. I had only tried it one other time and thought it was treacherous but unsatisfying, and now it's one of those things where it's so difficult but at the same time so satisfying when you get it right that it really is a joy to drive. And I just used the off-the-shelf iRacing setup with, I think, 1 change to the differential, so it was really nice. They did a great job.
Oh, that's good to hear. I love seeing all the new drivers we've been getting in this season. And that was Michael Deterk, who finished 4th with, I believe, our winner ready to talk to Sam. It's Topi Kortiniemi.
Yeah, here we go, Topi. We didn't see a whole lot of you during the race because you were just running away with it. How are you feeling?
I don't know. I was quite anxious before the race because those walls, I never hit them in practice, maybe like 2 times, so maybe it was time to do that in the race, but it never happened, and I got to relax after the gap was a bit over 5 seconds, so it was plenty. It was enough for 2 slowdowns even, or any shenanigans with lap traffic, which was good today. There was just 1 dangerous return, but otherwise, yeah, no worries.
Yeah, it looked like lap traffic was being quite well behaved. Like you say, a couple of hairy moments. We saw several incidents at the very start, including a solo spin for Ove Trandre. How difficult were those opening laps, considering that the track temperature is quite cold?
It shows it's sketchy on the cold tires. I mean, you're not smooth off the brakes, or you're smooth on the brakes, or not smooth on the throttle. You're going to spin the car, and around you go, it's always scary in the first 2 laps. I mean, at cold tires, you can't go flat out through the main. It's a turn, actually. It's not a turn in a track map, but for this car, it's a turn at the main start-finish straight. With cold tires, you have to lift just a little bit. But on hot tires, after 3 or 4 laps, it's okay to just go flat out.
Yeah, we saw one car have a pretty big crash on the front straight there in the closing laps. Well, we go to Phillip Island next week, and obviously you've won a few races this season. You've had a lot of consistent finishes. What are your goals to finish off this season with just 2 rounds left to go and everything having gone so well for you?
I don't know. I just shoot for a podium, not do anything silly, but of course I always go for a win, but not for any prize. So no stupid risks. But I'm just waiting for Le Mans because I think Mick is going to race then, and I think Michel too. So I've heard.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that event. Well, congrats on your win today, Topi. Any shout-outs you'd like to give before we let you go?
I don't know. It's a full Lotus 49 community. I think it's a great place. I recommend anyone to join.
And we'll second that recommendation. We always enjoy the racing we see here. But thanks for coming to see us, Topi, and we'll hope to speak to you again next week.
Yeah, thanks, Samuel.
That was Topi Kortaniemi, our winner out here. Looks like that's going to wrap up our interviews. So, of course, we want to thank the Lotus 49 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage here. Of course, we also want to thank the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, Sam, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed here. And also, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because as we said, the next race will be Phillip Island on Saturday, November 27th at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar, including in a couple hours, the Camel GT series goes to Spa, and that will be at noon Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.